Hello and welcome to Hot Indonesia, the world's best kept secret. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's H-I Hotlist status report. Where have the latest coronavirus restrictions led us? New normal. What practices will go forward once the infection threat is over? And media madness, what everyone, including us, is watching in lockdown. Here are my co-hosts each and every week, happily working from their homes. Sandrina Malakiano, former TV news anchor, now a political marketing consultant. And Santiago Uno, business executive and former vice governor of Jakarta. Here's hot topic number one. Let's get down to business status report. As we enter this new month of May in this period of the coronavirus pandemic, Indonesians cannot fly, take a bus or train anywhere, or try to drive out of Jakarta. Just about every restaurant and shopping venue is closed, and most buildings require face masks for entrance. Indonesia has Asia's highest mortality rate at nearly 9%, higher than the U.S. Confirmed cases continue to rise. Guys, where are we? Sandy, are you comfortable with measures taken so far as well as measures not taken?
Well, as part of the volunteers group now that I'm coordinating with the government, we are also doing testing, tracing, and treating. So in conjunctions with the task force of the government, we did some 3,200 tests the last 7 days, and we have more than 32 cases confirmed. So it is too early to tell. The cases in Jakarta is starting to slow down a few days, but then it just went up again. So the data should be our guidance, and it is way too early to tell. Don't put up a conclusion yet, and we have to take our fight till the end, and not just flattening the curve, but eliminating the virus altogether.
Sandrina, your comfort level with the measures we've taken so far?
Well, I'm getting used to being at home. It's been like more than a month. But I agree completely with what Sandy has just said, because even though the government has informed the public that the curve has flattened for Jakarta, which so far has the most cases in Indonesia, we shouldn't let our guards down, because with such an information, you might mislead the people so that they let down their guards and then they say, oh, things are getting better now. It shouldn't be taken that way, because as Sandy said, now the numbers are increasing again. It's too early to tell. And I heard from my friends in Bali, now sterner restrictions also are being implemented in Bali. Within villages, they have night curfews, like from 7 to 9 a.m., limited restrictions. But from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., it's a total closure for areas, no people going in or out. And people are more aware now, even though it's getting harder for a lot of people in terms of their economic situation. This should be done. Sandy, if I may ask you, do you really believe that the numbers given by the government, that really they're now already having things under control, that the numbers are decreasing, and it's a good sign?
Well, data is data, Sandrina, and we just haven't done enough testing. I would think that I would be comfortable if we are at the testing capacities or capabilities of around 50,000 in Jakarta alone per day. And starting next week, we're ramping up our mobile units. We will have 4 mobile units doing testing in some of the very, very dense and poor areas, whereby we hope we could do combined 1,200 testings a day, but it's not enough.
Only in Jakarta alone, or are you going out of Jakarta also?
We're starting 4 units in Jakarta first, because this is the red zones. And I think I would want to bring up the case of San Francisco. in the 1918 Spanish flu case. They celebrated too early. The curve happened, and by November 1918, what they did is they take out the order of no wearing a face mask in the public space. And what happened is the ensuing months of January and February, they had the most deaths. So too early to tell.
Yeah, guys, let me get a couple quick answers, couple quick questions, a couple specific things before we wrap up this segment. You know, the government originally announced last week that all air travel was banned, but that changed to only domestic flights. Is that a bit too harsh? I mean, couldn't passengers just be required to have health certificates to board a plane? I mean, cutting domestic travel from here to Bali, here to Manado, here to anywhere, that seems rather harsh. What do you guys think?
Flights are still ongoing, but very limited, several days for a certain flight. It's just for repatriation flights now, just transporting people.
But basically all flights are banned.
Jakarta.
The airports are shut down, basically. So I think that's a little harsh. What do you guys think?
No, you have to have 4 letters to be able to fly, Dalton. You have to own a health certificate stating that you are COVID-19 free, and then you have to have a letter from your employer or your office that you are going not for pleasure or leisure. You're going only on a business trip, and the exception.
Okay, so you're saying that I can go to Bali if I have these letters.
Yes.
Okay, real quickly, Sandy, have you heard of anyone who's received financial assistance already, direct financial assistance from the government?
There are financial assistance, but it is way not distributed, I guess, to fast enough. And also there are other people who are eligible to not receiving enough, because during our testing, people who are negative, we give them the basic food staples and assistance in terms of for their daily basic necessities. And we open at 8 o'clock. By 4 in the AM, people are already lining up, and by 4:30, the slots for the day is finished. So that shows that people are in need of help, and some may not get it fast enough from the government.
Okay, so you're saying some people have gotten the direct help, but this not enough. Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly with new normal. Will everyone continue to wear masks, for example, even after the virus threat is over? You're watching Hot Indonesia with Sandrina, Sandy, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, new normal. Face masks, hand sanitizers, fist bumps, social distancing, all measures that surely have helped prevent the further spread of COVID-19. It's raised the standard of hygiene in a country that needed it. But once the threat is considered over, what practices will we or do we need to keep in place? Now, you know, I could liken it to vehicle checks for bombs following terrorist attacks here in Jakarta. They're still in place at hotels, even long after the last major incident. I say going forward, we don't need masks, but keep the emphasis on hygiene. What do you guys say?
Yeah, we will definitely have a higher standard of hygiene, a healthier way of life, and increased digital literacy amongst the young generation, increase of the usage of digital platforms for businesses, for education. But I do believe that wearing the masks will continue like in Japan. They're used to it. They're wearing it on a daily basis, and it apparently is really helping to avoid us from catching any forms of diseases.
You want us to wear masks as a practice, Sandrina, you're saying, every day?
At least for the time being, yes.
Okay, I meant once the threat is over, cases have kind of plateaued or flattened out to zero or near zero.
That's going to be months from now, Dalton.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Maybe until the end of the year.
What will be the new normal, Sandy? What is in your mind the new normal?
Well, what are you talking about? Because
whatever practices we're doing now, what will carry over, do you think, after the threat is over?
Look at me. This is the new normal. This is how we're going to interact. And the type of face mask is going to be very interesting. This is new collections coming out on a weekly basis. It's like a fashion trend now. What new normal would be? New normal would be doing Hot Indonesia like this. We probably could carry on doing work from home like this. That's a new normal. What a new normal? We take more preventive medicines like jamu, like the vitamins, stocking up on vitamins. What are the new normals? People are doing more sports to make sure that they are healthy. What are the new normals? I think the Jakarta traffic is going to lessen because people are suddenly realizing that they could be more efficiently working from home. What are the new normals? I think the green economy. You look at the sky of Jakarta it's much nicer. And these are types of new normal. What are the new normals? Cybersecurity. People will have to make sure that the other day I was in a Zoom meeting, and if you are familiar with Zoom bombing, there are people coming into your Zoom sessions and basically just do either fun stuff or stealing your face data or your data that is being presented in your meeting. So that would be the new normals. And
Okay.
I think a lot of new normals is going to stay with here. Physical distancing continuing definitely for at least the next 2 years.
Okay, so let me ask you, Sandrino, first. How long do you think it'll take before people feel comfortable again to gather in crowds of more than 4 or 5, or even feel comfortable to have a dinner party at home?
It depends on the data, Dalton. I can't say because people will now react accordingly with the data presented. If we can clearly see evidently that the numbers are decreasing, that the disease is under control, we have no more cases, and the situation could be, say, it is safe for people to gather, then perhaps by then. But if you're asking me a duration in time, I can't tell you.
Okay, so Sandy and I have to wait a while for our dinner invitation to your house. Okay, I got it. Sandy, how about temperature checks with the temperature guns?
Oh,
Should they be
definitely.
standard in high-risk places like
Yeah.
theaters or malls?
Yeah, it's going to be like the check. You go to the airport, there will be the thermal scan, and then hand sanitizers. It's going to be everywhere. People are going to continue to, and not shaking hands. Maybe it's going to be the new normal, whereby you go like this and then touch your hearts. It's a lot of things that will be new normal. And I think people will adapt to new normal. And I guess also the how you interact with your extensive networks also, it's going to change a lot. It's going to be very interesting, but I think people will adapt like how we adapt post 9/11.
You really think that we won't be shaking hands anymore? I mean, you know, it originated as, of course, human contact and greeting someone warmly, but also to show in the old days that you had no weapon in your hand. I would be sad to think that, you know, you couldn't embrace someone or hug them if you're both healthy people.
I was watching on TV, yeah, I agree. Watching on TV, looking at people having gathering. I was watching Barack Obama's documentary and seeing all those huge gatherings, him shaking hands with so many people, and I just commented, now we can't do such things. It's too scary, and it would be an insult for others if after we shake their hands and then we use hand sanitizers to wipe it off as if he would spread germs to us. It would be an insult. I think, yeah. What do you think, Sandy?
Dalton, Sandrina, it's tough to be a politician not to shake hands. Now, imagine if you have to wear this. Imagine if you have to wear this and then try to go into a public rally. It's going to be a new normal. And I think this is a normal, typical statistics. People who shake hands with you, 50% will vote for you. And then people who took selfies with you, closer to 70% will vote for you. Now it's going to be changing those numbers because you're going to be very selective in your selfies, and then definitely you're going to be completely selective with your shaking hands. So it's interesting times.
Well, maybe they'll create some kind of clear mask.
Oh, they have. You know, Dalton. They have already now. It's in the market. A mask where you can see your mouth. So you can wear lipstick and you can smile, because when you take pictures, you forget. You smile behind your mask and then say, well, why am I smiling? You can't even see my face.
No one can see you smile if you have a mask on, and the
they
lipstick
have it.
industry will take a big hit, I think, you know.
No, they have it in the market. They have this transparent plastic part in front of your mouth, which
Okay,
is so
well,
cute.
you know, I guess the point is we will never get back to where we were before Wuhan and this coronavirus, but maybe that's a good thing. Okay, more Hot Indo is ahead.
장사 시작해볼까?
What everyone, including us, are watching in lockdown. You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, media madness. Now, being stuck at home for many means turning to your TV, phone, or tablet to watch just about anything at this point. The U.S. streaming service Netflix had 16 million new subscribers in the first 3 months of this year, double over the previous quarter, with content such as Itaewon Class and Money Heist. Competitors Disney Plus and Amazon Prime also seeing strong business. Now, what I want to know, my dear friends, what is everyone watching, including us? Now, let me start. I'm old school, as you guys know, and I have a DVD collection that I'm dusting off. I just watched Elvis Presley in Blue Hawaii, the 1961 classic in my hometown, and the 2004 Will Ferrell comedy Anchorman. I wonder why. Guaranteed enjoyment. Plus, I don't have Netflix. Okay, so Sandrina, let's start with you. What are you watching?
No Korean drama yet, for sure. I'm watching a new series, old series, Suits, Madam Secretary, House of Cards, Cooking Channel's Asian Food Channel Network, and Gordon Ramsay's Uncharted on Nat Geo, things like that. I like political dramas and also Hollywood movies.
Okay,
Christmas
so you got
movies.
a full variety of on your list there. You know, you like political drama. Sandy Uno lives a political drama every day. Sandy, what have you been enjoying, and on what platform do you watch?
Well, I started to watch Netflix a few years back, and we've done all those House of Cards, Madam Secretary, and many other political series. But I was watching Money Heist, and then Sulaiman started joining us, so we stopped watching Money Heist because the content is too sometimes provocative. So we just started a new series, Tiger King. It was fun. But then Jordan's, the Last Dance, Michael Jordan and the 90 Bulls. Yeah, it's so fun. So we watch all 4 episodes already. But I do watch a lot of news as well, local news as well as the international news. I've become a little bit of COVID-19 experts, but the more information out there about COVID, the more confusing the situations would be. So I think in this time, facts really help us clarify the situations.
Yeah, Sandy, you're being too serious. I don't mean news, but I mean for entertainment, what you're watching. So you mentioned the ones you're saying, hey, have you guys seen this new Netflix thing? I haven't, of course. Sex Education, they have a series on that. I mean, it sounds like something I learned in the 7th grade. What's going on?
I saw, Sex Education is very interesting, but we have an 8-year-old kid running around while we were watching Netflix.
Is it pretty graphic? Is it pretty visual?
And there's a new show which is like very, very happening. It's called Too Hot to Handle, and it's too sexy to handle, something like that. So a lot of, and Netflix are able to sort of like profile you, right? So when you turn on Netflix, and then they come up with all these contents that based on artificial intelligence, based on how they profile you. So all these sexy movies coming out, and me and my wife was kind of embarrassed in front of Sulaiman.
Okay, when you're alone, it's okay. Now, do you think your viewing habits will change once this is all over, or will it revert back to where you were before? The amount of time you spend and the kind of programming you watch?
I think so.
Yeah, I do believe so, because we will have less time for that.
Yeah, definitely. And then it will be guided by also the more you see certain kind of shows, the more of those shows, like the political dramas, is going to be, because I did House of Cards, I did also the Madam Secretary and many other political shows. So it's going to be a demand for content, and I think it's good for the industry. Unfortunately, Dalton, I want to stress this one point: is we don't have that many contents, Indonesian contents on this streaming available. So I want to push the local industry to put up good contents, to be curated and be put on Netflix.
Yeah, and by the way, just you mentioned that, Sandy, the Indonesia channel is now on IndieBox, which is a streaming service, so people can do video on demand, and then we actually get some revenue out of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, one more point, Dalton, if I may add. We will have more time actually when the children go back to school, but then we can focus on work also and do a lot of other things, because it's time for us to now come up with new ideas. I learned this from Sandy. I was watching one of his live streaming. It's time for us to also now come up with new ideas to welcome the new era after this COVID-19.
Oh boy, yeah, things are going to change. Okay, it is feedback time now, and let us know if you like or you hate what you see. GoFast posted this on the YouTube page of our partner TV1. PSSB is a good practice, but to end this pandemic, I don't think so. Well, at the least, it's teaching us better hygiene and health practices. And Emma emailed this question from Jakarta.
Yay!
She wrote, what do you think about the issue of larger waves of infection in the coming months? Well, you know, it's possible, the experts say, as we've been discussing. It depends on how successful these first restrictions are. And for that email question, Emma, you will get this limited edition Hot Indo t-shirt. Wear it proudly as you are. Okay, here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com, or you can comment through our Hot Indonesia channel, or TV1, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Sandrina.
Yes, we've seen around the world people are posting pictures of blue skies and clean water, clear and clean air everywhere, not only in Indonesia. Less plastic waste. Hopefully, even after these whole months of staying home, the people will still have an increased awareness to preserve nature, and we could save Mother Earth and let it breathe the way we are allowing Mother Nature to do so right now. So hopefully it's not going to turn for the worse again as everything returns to normal again. When we start working, people start to go out and use machineries and mow their cars again. Less pollution and a better quality of life for us and the generations to come, hopefully. That's what I hope.
Okay, final words, Sandy.
I'd like to congratulate Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan for finally getting Vice Governor, compatriot Ahmad Riza Patria, who is nominated by Gerindra and PKS and just elected a couple of weeks ago. And now he's helping Governor Anies to fight COVID-19. So the City Hall now have the dynamic duo back again. So congratulations and good luck to both of them to fight COVID-19.
All right, Sandy, it took 2 years almost because your shoes are hard to fill. And my final words. A few weeks ago, a TV actor received a 2-year, 4-month prison sentence, and his crime was saying his ex-wife basically wasn't a good lover and that a certain part of her smelled like salted fish. Now, you know, that's not nice, but I'm not sure it's a crime. You know, in most countries, defamation is a civil action and truth is a defense. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sandrina Malakiano and Santiago Uno, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time.